Hello everybody, welcome back to Words and Other Good Ideas. This week's book review is for Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs, and this is a book which is being turned into a film coming out in September this year, directed by Tim Burton, and it's got a lot of hype surrounding it, which is lucky because that is how I heard of the book. I saw the trailer. Someone told me to watch the trailer because it looked really good, and I was like, oh my god, it does look really good. I'm going to put a link to the trailer down below. And then obviously I was like, well, this is based off a book, I've got to read the book because the trailer looks really good and I can't wait till September to see the film. So I bought the books on Amazon, and I literally didn't know anything about them apart from what I had gleaned from a 2-minute long trailer. And these books were a wonderful, wonderful surprise, and I'm so grateful that I did watch that film trailer, because I could so easily have never read them and never experienced them, which would have been a real shame. These books are astonishing for one overwhelming reason, which is the method in which they were written. What Ransom Riggs did, he explains it all in a Q&A in the back of my copy. He spent hours and hours and hours combing through old vintage photographs, and eventually he picked out 50 and created a story around these amazing photographs. He describes in the Q&A, he describes the process as really organic. Like he would sometimes have an idea and try and find a photograph to support that, or he would see a photograph that was just so captivating or interesting or unexplainable that he would have to include it and have to weave it into his story somehow. This means that the story is beyond original. It's like nothing I've ever read. It's honestly really remarkable. The story obviously isn't original in the sense that it has nothing in its plot that has ever been touched on before or anything like that. It's just original in that it feels so incredibly unique, and you can tell that it's not been written in the traditional way, and not just because the photographs are included in the copy, which I really like. It's a really good touch, really showing how the writing process was done in this case. It's really difficult to explain how and why this story feels original. Basically, you open in Florida, and the story follows a boy, a 13-year-old boy called Jacob, and he lives in Florida with his parents and his grandfather, and he has all his life followed his grandfather around asking for stories about his life as a young boy and the war, and he's this incredibly mysterious, accomplished figure in Jacob's mind. He, speaks loads of languages, and he's had hardships and knows everything, it seems to him. As Jacob grows up, he believes his grandfather less and less when he tells him stories about a children's home that he had lived in, and all of the incredible things that have gone on there. And this is obviously the home for peculiar children, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. And Jacob sort of, grows up and begins to disregard all of these stories as flights of fancy. But eventually some evidence turns up which sort of suggests that Jacob's grandfather was telling the truth. And the book just unfolds from there, following Jacob's journey across the world and into the lives of Miss Peregrine and all of the peculiar children, and finding out why exactly they are peculiar, what that means, and how his grandfather lived with them and their story. Really, I think what the message is that extraordinary things can happen to you and around you, and there is a theme through the book which suggests that there are moments in your life which split into before and after, and these are the defining moments that sort of signify turning points or realizations, which suggest that your life is never going to be the same again. And I think that's very true. I think that's a very astute point by Ransom Riggs. Aside from the wonderful plot and the amazing inclusion of the photographs and the way it's written and all of that. The writing is very clean, very intelligent, compelling, engaging. It's not told in a complex way, so it's really easy to read and to keep going with. But it's in no way simplistic or boring, so don't get the wrong end of the stick there. It's very, very well written, economically written, and every sentence has a point. There's none of that annoying information dump or, you know, useless description or sort of flighty dialogues. So it's really enjoyable to read for both of those reasons, the plot and the writing style, and it's just really engaging on all levels. This book is the first in a trilogy. As you can see, there's the trilogy there, and I'm presuming that there are going to be 2 more films after the film that's coming out in September. Because obviously it's a trilogy, the writing does change in the second 2 books, because it obviously becomes more difficult to allow the plot to be influenced quite so much by the photographs that Ransom Riggs is finding. I would hesitate to say that I'm disappointed by the second 2 books, because I'm not disappointed. They're really, really good books. The plot is excellent, the writing is still excellent. The problem that I have is that it was impossible. I can see how impossible it is for Ransom Riggs to maintain his organic writing style with the photographs, because obviously it's the continuation of a longer story, and it would be impossible to change it as much as I sense he had in the first book, depending on what photos he uncovers. He's got to make some hard decisions, and he's got to be going somewhere no matter what photographs come up, and it's quite subtle, but I think you can tell that in the second 2 books. So they're not quite the same as the first. They don't have the same feel to them, the same unique, convoluted, I can do what I want kind of feel. I mean, it does take away a little bit of what makes the first book so good. But saying that, they are still really good books. They follow on excellently, and the plot is not contrived in any way. It feels like it's following on faithfully, like it's a faithful representation of the story arc that there is, you know, really, if it were a true story, which I wish it were. So overall, I think Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children deserves an 8 out of 10. It's a wonderful read. It's really unique. Even after months, it's been months since I read it, it has stayed with me. I've, you know, occasionally found myself thinking about it and looking back through my old photos to see what others might think of them if they didn't know the story behind them, that type of thing. It's just, I think it's one that you'll remember, and it's definitely one that I'm going to remember for a very long time, if not, you know, the rest of my life. So I would definitely recommend this book to everyone, really. I mean, I think it's classed as young adult, but I know many, many adults who would really enjoy this book, and it's not too teeny, it's not too focused on a cheesy romance or anything like that. So pick it up, give it a try, and let me know what you think in the comments section below, or message me on Twitter, and like, share and subscribe for more videos coming soon.